I didn't have, a lot of opportunities like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
So I think it's because we were really poor. I remember that when me and my sister were young, we had to share like a bowl of noodles. I would eat noodles and my dad would just eat vegetables and my mom would probably like went for soup or something. Yeah, so it's because my motivation is pretty what's the word มันเป็นแบบแรงขับดันที่มีเยอะมากก็เลยทำให้เกิด self study เยอะมากๆ
So
เลย
it's
กัน
Before we begin, I hope you, dear viewers and listeners, forgive us for any grammatical and language mistakes made in this talk. Even though we want to try our best to perfect it, what is most important for us is to get the message across. So we try not to be held back by the fear of making some mistakes. Thank you for your understanding. Now, let's jump right in.
For this episode of the Lessons Learned, you are going to enjoy today's talk about how you can master English skills without having to go study abroad, how one can start creating educational content online and just go viral really fast, and how can you learn and thrive from your own mistakes with this extraordinary and inspiring educator and one of the most well-known English teacher online in Thailand ครูพี่หวาน English on Air ค่ะ ครูหวาน English on Air ค่ะ เราก็จะแบบว่าบ้าบออย่างนี้
ได้เลยค่ะสาย
ได้เลยใช่ไหมคะ
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
How are you today?
I'm very amazing. You know why?
Why?
Because you're here.
Oh, thank you.
I'm very, very happy to have you here today, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this right now are extremely happy to see you talk in English for the whole session today.
Thank you. That's actually my dream to be interviewed in English. Hello, everybody. So my name is Kruan. So I am an English teacher from Kruan English on Air Facebook page, and I think I've had this page for about 4 years now. I have been teaching English in conversation English and grammar and all sorts. Everything about English, really.
I feel like the way you teach, you make it very, very easy for people to understand very complex rules and how people use especially grammar, which is the hardest thing I think in English for many Thai people. But I just have to ask this. Let's start with your English skills first. I think people would have the impression like you probably live abroad for your whole life or something like that. Is that how you learn your English?
Actually, I studied English in Thailand. I was born and raised in Thailand. So basically, my hometown is in Uttaradit province. And then about 10 years ago, I moved to Chiang Mai. And I have been living in Chiang Mai for about 10 or 11 years now. And yeah, I graduated from Chiang Mai University, but it's because I study English, some kind of like linguistics in Thailand. So that's just how I learned English, really. Yeah. I never been abroad to study, but only to travel, not like study there.
It's very interesting because like not everybody studied in English literature would have this kind of English that you're having right now. So how did you practice, especially this like speaking style?
Basically, there are two ways that I learn English. So the first way is that I just study English, from school, from my university. Also, I do a lot of self-study as well.
Practice by yourself.
Yeah. Just go back about 10 years ago, maybe. My family, my parents, we were quite poor. It's because we poor and I want to like make my life, better. So I study really hard. I think my motivation in learning is probably more than some people because I want to improve my life quality. Yeah. So, back to like when I was a student in high school, my friends, their parents had money to send them to study in just like English camp or a lot of famous schools แบบโรงเรียนสอนพิเศษอะไรแบบนี้
Right.
I was like, oh, I didn't have that opportunity, to study like my friends did. So I'm just gonna learn English by myself. I'm just gonna do self-study. So that's just how I practice my English, by doing it by myself most of the time.
Oh, so you didn't go to any tutoring schools or study with like foreigner teachers since you were very young, so not at all anything like that.
No. I didn't have, a lot of opportunities like that. Yeah. So I think it's because we were really poor. I remember that when me and my sister were young, we had to share like a bowl of noodles. I would eat noodles and my dad would just eat vegetables and my mom would probably like went for soup or something. Yeah, so it's because my motivation is pretty what's the word มันเป็นแบบแรงขับดันที่มีเยอะมากก็เลยทำให้เกิด self study เยอะมากๆ
So
เลย
it's
กั
a
น
strong drive for
Yeah,
you to
yeah. Well, my parents are farmers, and luckily that they think that education will make my life better. So they tried to support me and my sister to go to university, and yeah, it turned out that it's actually worth investing in, which is the education.
I think that your parents would be very, very proud of you. I'm sure they're very proud of you right now, right? To see
Yeah,
you
yeah.
like succeed and everything, and also that you are helping a lot of people to succeed and using education as a tool as well.
Yeah.
I really like what you said. You said education, they saw that as the investment rather than like, of course sometimes like โอ้ยเดี๋ยวต้องจ่ายค่าเทอมลูกอีกแล้วเดี๋ยวต้อง so it becomes more like expenditure, right? Something you have to pay away, but actually it's an investment. So you graduated from Thai school, right? And then you went
Yeah.
to Mo Chor.
I study English linguistics เป็นแบบ
ภาษาศาสตร์
ใช่เป็น linguistics อะไรเงี้ยit's because I love it really. I think it's really difficult, and I think difficulty is charming for some reason. I think it's something that I need to conquer. I think it's like challenge, in life, that if you do something difficult and if you can you are a winner, you can conquer it, then nothing is difficult anymore. So because
Right.
yeah
Yeah,
And
it
I
doesn't
think
get easier. You just become stronger.
yeah. And I like to study structures as well, because like I said, it's just เป็นความท้าทายของชีวิตอย่างหนึ่งก็เลยอยากจะลองอะไรที่มันยากๆแล้วก็ถ้าเราทำสิ่งที่มันยากๆได้มันก็คงจะไม่มีอะไรยากอีกต่อไปแล้วมั้ง
Oh.
and it's fun as well.
I think we need like an Instagram post of you like ไม่มีอะไรยากอีกต่อไปแล้ว Were you a straight A student in school?
Yeah,
Like a
probably.
top of the class?
Probably, yeah. So I think from Prathom 1 till like Prathom 6 or something. But then when I moved to study in like at Uttaradit Taruni School, which is the most famous school in my hometown, then my I was like on top anymore. ไม่ได้เป็นที่หนึ่งอีกต่อไปอะไรอย่างเงี้ยเพราะว่าเราแบบเขาเป็นที่หนึ่งในโรงเรียนชนบทแต่พอไปเรียนในเมืองหรือว่าพอมาอยู่มชก็เราก็ไม่ได้เป็นที่หนึ่งอีกแล้วอะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะ
Were you why?
Well, it's good because if you are on top, like if you are number one all the time, think about your ego, and then you might be too proud of yourself. So the fact that you're like, maybe I can be number 2, number 3, number 10, or whatever number, it doesn't really matter because it's a good test for you. Yeah, ไม่ต้องเป็นที่หนึ่งตลอดไปก็ได้. It's not necessary. You can be ที่ 2 ที่ 3 ที่ 4 ที่โลก็ได้ Yeah.
Yeah, the importance is not about like what place you're in, but whether you're evolving, you're developing yourself every single year, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. I think if you rank yourself in like, number like number one, number two, number three. It's like you are comparing yourself with other people, which I don't think it's a good idea to do that. So just do whatever you want. You might be a really fast learner or you might be really slow, but it doesn't really matter.
That's right. That's right. This is my observation again, because a lot of people say that if you are good at studying, you should go, take, something like science, like on the science side. You should be
Right.
engineer, doctors, this, I don't
Right,
know,
right.
like difficult.
Doctor, something like
Yeah,
that.
or something on the hard science discipline.
Yeah.
When you chose to do English linguistics, do people ask you like, what are you gonna do with your degree, or like why did you choose this? Is that a question to you that you
Yeah.
have to answer?
In the past, I was asked all the time, like, are you sure? What were you going to be? Well, I have to admit that back then I was confused as well because I listened to other people's opinions too much. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Well, I think you can do whatever you want. Like, you shouldn't think too much about other people's opinions อย่าไปคิดมากว่าคนอื่นเขาจะคิดยังไงอะไรอย่างเงี้ย yeah because actually my parents wanted me to be like to be a teacher that teaches English in school like government schools or something แบบให้รับราชการอะไรแบบนี้ yeah but I just want to work for myself, and if I work for someone, I can't use my creativity, because sometimes I like to think, I like to do things my own way. But if I work for other people, then that's it. My creativity, I can't express myself in a way I would like to do. So
Exactly.
just do what you want.
Go for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think what's really interesting and then you mentioned, I think a lot of time a lot of us when we were 18 years old having to choose the path that is most difficult in our life. We were only 18s or 17 sometime and we have to choose the kind of career path that is going to dictate the direction of our life 40 years later. คือต้องเลือกแล้วอะตอนนั้นคือแบบอุ๊ยฉันจะทำอะไรหลังจากนี้ฉันจะเป็นหมอหรือฉันจะเป็นเอนจิเนียร์หรือฉันจะเป็นนู่นนี่นั่น but I think because a lot of time we choose based on what we think we could make a career out of it so I studied social science too social science คืออะไร ทุกคนก็จะถามว่าแบบสังคมศาสตร์โอ้แล้วจบไปจะทำอะไรอะคะ นี่เรียนแบบป้าข้างบ้านแล้วจบไปทำอะไรอะ so I'd be like I don't know like multiple of things that you can be right but I think what's really interesting about you chose and like many of us we chose based on the curiosity and interest that we really want to go for it and have our answers about the things that we want to explore more right and you don't have to always stick that โอเคฉันจะต้องเรียนนี้เพื่อที่ฉันจะต้องทำงานอย่างนี้อีก2ปี3ปีมันอาจจะเปลี่ยนก็ได้ right
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, people change all the time. It's from day one to day two. Everything changes. You change, you grow up. Some people, are born. Some people die. That is just normal. So, if I understand because that is probably just our system that when you graduate from high school you have to choose right now. You don't have time to go and learn about yourself. You don't have time to travel. You don't even know what you like. You have to choose because you have social pressure. So so if you choose to do you just choose to do something that you like to do, and later on if you find out that actually I don't like it, you can always change. There's no fixed rules. So
exactly
because everything changes. Why do you have to be the same? You change as well, so don't think too much. Just go with the flow and be flexible with life.
Ooh, I really like this one. Be flexible with life. For the past interview, I have note down whatever the quotes our guests have said, and I put it on my wall.
Oh.
be flexible with life ค่ะนะ be flexible
Well นี่ก็แบบเอาของคนอื่นมาพูดเหมือนกัน because I when I work sometimes I'm like I don't have any motivation today so no one can help me so I just have to read yeah
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Something I definitely have to talk about this because I think hundreds and millions of people are wanting this answer right now. How did you pick up the accent? I want to have this accent like Piwan, like you will be like I don't know. I learn unintentionally, but I learn American accent. And I mean it's good. I like it. But there will be times when I feel like you can say any like Piwan, can you say any sentence? Just any sentence on top of your head.
Chiang Mai it's really cold today
That is the most like the smartest thing I've ever heard in my life. You would be saying anything. You could be saying like I love khao soi and I would be like wow, that's so intellectual. That's so it sounds so smart. I don't know why the accent make it so
Thank you.
extra charming.
Yeah, it actually 5 or 6 years ago I had an American accent like proper I was Americanized like 100% เป็นแบบ water you want to drink some water something like that
Yeah.
an American accent it's because in my university a lot of teachers probably come from like America so this is why
Right.
I pick up the accent but then I met my husband about 5 or 6 years ago it's called Kru Tom he is from England and I was like okay what is that accent it's really interesting so when he says water then I will be like okay that's interesting maybe I'll change from water to be water and sometimes I use IPA IPA เป็นระบบ
Yeah,
IPA
yeah.
เป็น phonetic ใช่ไหม International Phonetic Alphabet or something มันจะเป็นอักษรพิเศษที่ถ้าคนไหนที่เรียนภาษาอังกฤษเรื่องของการออกเสียงเนี่ยเขาก็จะรู้นะคะแล้วเราก็เรียนตามนั้นเลย and then just copy whatever he says and then I watch movies and here we go that's my accent today yeah
That's really amazing. Which means that you, with enough exposure of that language, you can learn, even though regardless of where you're born or where you go to school, you can learn to pick up that accent. Is that right?
Yes well I think about English afternoons we
Pinoon, yes.
Pinoon, yeah.
Yes.
You guys see that like listen to her accent it's just really good it's perfect so and I think she didn't go abroad to study as well right yeah ใช่ so there are so many examples in Thailand that people can speak English with whatever accent they want without studying abroad so that's it just a really good example เพราะฉะนั้นอยู่ที่ไหนจะทำอะไรก็ได้ it's because right now technology and everything you have your phone you can go on YouTube and then you can meet Queen Elizabeth ได้เจอ Queen Elizabeth จริงๆได้แบบได้เจอกับคนที่เขาจะแบบใช้ accent ที่เราอยากได้จริงๆ so yeah studying abroad is not a main factor anymore
I just recently saw your I think your Twitter post and this is related to the accent and it's about like Thai people when we appreciate or we find it's nice for Farang to try to speak Thai why do we detest or why do we feel like it's a dattarit thing for Thai people trying to speak in English so maybe can you share your thoughts about this a little bit I really like it
sure when it comes to accent and pronunciation it's such a controversial topic มากๆ in my opinion I feel like pronunciation ก็คือการออกเสียง it's more important than accent for sure การออกเสียงสำคัญกว่าสำเนียงอย่างแน่นอน so for example ยกตัวอย่างเช่นคำว่า water ละกันคำว่า water ถ้าเป็นเรื่องของสำเนียงAmerican people would say water is that right water
right water
yeah แต่ว่าBritish people would say water which both versions are understandable เข้าใจได้เหมือนกันแต่ว่าถ้าเป็นเรื่องของ pronunciation เนี่ยถ้าเราออกเสียงไม่ถูกต้องเช่นจากปกติคำว่า water if you say weather ก็จะทำให้ไม่เข้าใจไปแล้วอะไรอย่างเงี้ย so I'm trying to promote to tell people that pronunciation is actually really important pronunciation ก็คือการออกเสียงเนี่ยสำคัญมากๆมากๆเลยแต่ว่าsometimes you know some Thai people they just want to have a really beautiful accent บางคนก็อยากจะมีสำเนียงที่ดีแต่ว่าก็โดนแบบ sometimes they are told off ก็คือโดนว่าโดน criticize โดนวิจารณ์ต่างๆนานาจนทำให้เขาแบบI'm not confident anymore so ในความคิดเห็นของครูหวานก็อยากจะให้ช่วยกันรณรงค์ว่า just be nice to each other you know so the reason that that person is trying to speak English with whatever accent he or she wants just let them be ต้องออกเสียงให้ถูกต้องก่อนแล้วเดี๋ยว accent มันจะตามมาทีหลัง although I am an English teacher sometimes I get messages like hey your accent is so fake จากฝรั่งด้วยนะแบบ your accent is so fake and I was like oh that hurts but I know so but I was like whatever like I don't care at all because what I'm doing is that I am trying to improve myself ประมาณนี้ก็อยากให้กำลังใจกับทุกคนที่กำลังฝึกในเรื่องของการออกเสียงภาษาอังกฤษอะไรอย่างเงี้ยก็แคร์คนอื่นให้มากนะคะ just don't think too much about other people's opinions just do your best
exactly now that you talked about it I have mixed accents sometimes like I will be listening to you and I will be like I start like really is that right I caught myself like what that was British and sometimes we have mix of that and some people were like โอ้พี่หวานพี่หวานพูดได้เป๊ะแล้วไงก็คงไม่มีปัญหาหรอกโอ้โหพี่หวานก็บอก even for you there's still people like there's always gonna be people criticizing whatever actions you do
for sure I mean it's really normal you know I think also people have rights to criticize you but you also have rights not to take it too personally
absolutely so now that we talked a little bit we touched upon a little bit about teaching so I heard that you started teaching since you were 18 that was so young why did you start teaching so young
it's because I didn't have money I think
high five
yeah because 18 years old back then I was อยู่ปี 1แล้ว and then I had to start working because my parents didn't have enough money for me to you know ต้องใช้เงินในการเรียนค่านั่นค่านี่อะไรอย่างเงี้ย but I have to admit that back then my English skill was like so แบบอาจจะผิดเยอะอาจจะอะไรเยอะแยะมากมายด้วยอะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะ
me too I started teaching when I was probably 17 18 as well
okay
as a part-time job of course because I was I think it's a very good experience and I would like I think for you as well like how did that experience working and tutoring since you were very young since school how did that shape you to who you are today
I am actually grateful for everything that has happened in my life it's because you know in the past my English experience with teaching was not a lot so บางครั้งก็สอนผิดบางครั้งก็สอนถูกแล้วก็มีการแบบyou know I try to correct it แล้วก็พยายามปรับเปลี่ยนเรื่อยมาอะไรอย่างเงี้ย and it's because I do it like all the time you know since I was 18 years old until now I am 30 years old so how many years 12 years already 12 ปีผ่านมาแล้ว
well I thought you were in your mid-20s
18 years old it's good experience ถ้าไม่มีครูหวานที่สอนภาษาอังกฤษในวันนั้นก็จะไม่ได้มีครูหวานในวันนี้เนี่ยค่ะ so I have been making mistakes you know actually all the time อาจจะจนกระทั่งถึงทุกวันนี้ด้วยก็ได้ because
Me too.
I do believe that no one is perfect you know I am an English teacher I make mistakes sometimes
I think like it definitely makes sense, and I think because we start early, so we get experience earlier. There will be times when I don't know if it's applies to you as well, but I feel like เหนื่อย everyone like I don't want to do this like I'm studying is already hard enough why should I like I worked way too hard and there were times when I would be whining like งอแงบ้างbut now it makes all like it makes sense now that I start working when I was in the uni so I feel like that gives me this big huge advantage for when I graduated and start working because I have already gained the experience needed for the current work that I'm working.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel discouraged? Because
For
I'm
sure,
like,
for sure. All the time. Yeah, I do believe that people cannot be like motivated all the time คนเรามันไม่สามารถที่จะแบบมีไฟแบบ ไฟร้อนรนในตัวได้ all the time we are human beings so sometimes if you feel discouraged that's okay you just need to take a break from what you do I had like what is it called like a burnout syndrome it's a syndrome like a burnout
it's a burnout yeah
เพราะว่าทำงานเยอะจนเกินไปอะไรประมาณนี้ yeah
so you overwork yourself
yes and then I felt very like oh I feel so lazy what's the point you know to work this hard like why was I born for what what's the purpose of life and then I started questioning myself a lot but I stopped working for a week or two and I went to the beach and I read books and I didn't do anything at all just let myself relax and it's actually good for you you know so if you feel sad you feel lazy you feel like you don't have any motivation in working that's fine that's okay it's just normal but I think the best way to cure your life to cure you like ทำให้เราจะแบบมี motivation มีแรงในการทำงานมากยิ่งขึ้นก็คือ stop and read I think reading it's good it's probably one of the best ways to relax
I know I started to learn I think this year or last year that the most crucial factor for any productivity in any work or any progress is rest that we human beings need rest
Yeah. I totally agree with you.
Let's talk about your Facebook page. I really like that. I think for you it's very clear when I go to your page or your Instagram or YouTube channels, you have this quality of being like a true giver. เหมือนเป็นผู้ให้จริงๆอะไรอย่างเงี้ยสำหรับพี่หวาน so I feel like it's very necessary for especially at the very start of any content creator, especially a teacher, to have this quality of giving first, giving to the people, and expecting that they get to learn or gain some insight from the content we created. I think I'm not sure about you, but I being a teacher for me, or like especially online teacher, there are a lot of things that is because it's a new thing, right? Online teaching and it's quite challenging to a certain degree as well. What is the most difficult thing for you to teach online?
The most difficult thing I don't think anything is difficult for me apart from criticism I can't handle that it's not my strength to be able to accept criticism I am really sensitive
Me too.
and I care about other people a lot so as soon as I see something like blah 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 then I'll be like yeah but I guess we kind of have to accept that if you choose to come you know this way then it's gonna be like that yeah because I don't really like to use the word difficulty although I just mentioned about this word เพิ่งจะพูดคำไปอะไรอย่างเงี้ยก็เลยแบบพยายามจะปรับ mindset ตัวเองว่าอุ๊ยอย่าไปบอกว่า this is difficult เพราะว่ามันจะ difficult จริงๆอะไรเงี้ย but it's when I do things I only do things that I love if I do it by like with my heart so there's no excuses for me ก็จะไม่มีข้อแก้ตัวใดๆว่ามันจะแบบทำไม่ได้อะไรอย่างเงี้ย you need to do it like with your heart ต้องทำด้วยใจจริงๆถึงจะประสบความสำเร็จในการทำทุกอย่าง your passion yeah
Wow, that's amazing. You mentioned this, and I feel like I resonate with this a lot. There is this pressure for a teacher or an educator, especially online teacher, to be 100% right. You claim that you're a teacher, so you should know everything, and everything that you produce, every content, every little facet, aspect, element of the things that you put out there should be 100% right, or correct grammatically, pronunciation, and everything. Which it gives me a lot of pressure.
I understand.
I don't know.
I totally understand.
I know, right? So do you have like how do you deal with that?
Well,
Do you deal with that?
Well, I sometimes make mistakes. First of all, if I make mistakes, I will accept that and I will apologize. Like, okay, students, I'm really sorry, I must apologize for the mistakes I made. And usually they understand. And just don't let it get to you. อย่าปล่อยให้มันมาหาตัวเรา because first of all, we are not native English speakers. English is not our first language. It's not our mother tongue. We also learn. เราก็เรียนรู้ไปพร้อมกับนักเรียนเหมือนกัน เราทำได้ดีที่สุดในเวอร์ชันที่เราเป็นอยู่แล้ว It's normal. Making mistakes is like it's so common. เพียงแต่ว่าเราอย่าไป repeat the same mistakes again แค่นั้นเอง
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Although we like double check, on everything, บางทีมันก็ต้องมี mistakes. It's just human error. We're not machines. We're not robots. So yeah, ก็เป็นเรื่องปกติมาก Yeah.
That's right. I feel like, of course, there's this pressure, but I really like that you said, learning from the mistakes. Everyone, including myself. If we were to count how many grammatical mistakes I've made in this interview, countless for me. I'll be like, นับไม่พอ ผิดทุกคำ I always have this grammatical mistakes, pronunciation mistakes and everything, but I think I really like that you said we have to accept that everyone can make mistakes, including ourselves.
Sure.
I help train, online teachers and tutors for those who want to teach something online. It's a community we have. So a lot of people came to me asking the exact questions that I just asked you. That I'm not confident because when I produce something, I feel like people might be like, you're not even good enough. Your English, like you can't even make it right. But I feel like the main value, the main role of a teacher is not actually to be AI. You should be accurate about everything, but to facilitate learning. And what you have said today, from the very beginning until now, you talked really about like how we can empower the students to learn more efficiently. And I think that's probably the most important role of a teacher, to facilitate learning for the people.
Yeah, for sure. We kind of have to set a good example to students, because if you're like, you have to be perfect, then people will be scared. People will be very like, จะทำยังไงให้มัน perfect ดีเนาะแบบ I think the word perfect ไม่ได้ exist ในโลกนี้เลยไม่มีอะไรที่มัน perfect เลยอะไรอย่างเงี้ย yeah ใช่ so ถ้าเราอยากจะเป็นตัวอย่างของครูที่ดีเนี่ยบางครั้งเราก็ต้องยอมรับว่าฉันยังเป็นครูฉันก็ทำความผิดit's super normal
It's okay.
it's okay
Right.
yeah it's not a big deal at all yeah ทำอะไรก็ทำไปเลยก็ไม่เป็นไรก็แก้ no one dies from that
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amazing. I have such a wonderful time with you. I have learned a lot. I was so inspired. Can we leave? Do you have anything to leave for any language learners who feel like they have limitations like, oh, P1, I have this limitation. I cannot do this. I cannot be like you, blah, blah, blah. Or I cannot have this great English because of certain limitations they have.
Yeah, there's no such thing which is called limitation มันจะไม่มีคำว่า limit อยู่แล้วจริงๆนะคะมันจะมี limit ก็อยู่แค่ใน mindset ของเราอะไรเงี้ยมีสิ่งหนึ่งที่อยากจะฝากก็คือว่า it's about your mindset really about fixed mindset and growth mindset ใช่ไหมที่แบบเขาเรียกกันอะอะไรเงี้ย yeah so if you keep telling yourself that English is difficult it will be difficult ทุกคนท้อได้แต่ขออย่าให้ give up นะคะ don't give up never give up ก็ขอให้แบบทำต่อไป is because ถ้าเรารู้ภาษาอังกฤษแล้วนะคะ English will change your life ภาษาอังกฤษจะเปลี่ยนชีวิตของเราอย่างแน่นอน
สวยงาม yeah I read from a book the other day it says that capacity is a state of mind ความสามารถเนี่ยมันเป็นสิ่งที่นะเราต้องไปเอามาจากที่อื่นแล้วเราพูด I read from a book I didn't think of it myself but yeah it begins in your mind right whether or not you are capable of something
for sure
right?
for sure I mean if everybody has fixed mindset มันก็คงจะไม่มีแบบเครื่องบินก็คงจะไม่มีไฟฟ้ามันก็คงจะไม่มีอะไรนวัตกรรมที่เราเห็นอยู่ทุกวันนี้นะคะเพราะฉะนั้นเราก็ไม่มีอะไรที่มนุษย์ทำไม่ได้
ขอบคุณทุกคนมากๆเลยนะคะที่ติดตามรับชมและรับฟังนะคะขอบคุณพี่วานมากๆเลยด้วยนะคะ thank you for joining us today เนี่ยกำลังคิดว่าไปด้านไหนได้ thank you so much for joining us today it's been an honor a privilege to sit down and talk with you thank you all for watching
ที่ให้โอกาสมาด้วยนะคะ
ขอบคุณมากๆเลยค่ะ I really enjoyed the talk today so for everyone if you have any lessons you have learned today and anything that you feel like oh wow that's really inspiring please comment down below let us know what you think about today's episode and share this with your friends and family as well if you like this episode of the lessons learned thank you for watching and listening to our show and that's it for today bye
สวัสดีค่ะ